Hello, we're going to talk today about demo, specifically a test drive. Now, in the sales process, a lot of times there's a specific steps defined as walk around. I personally see walk around as half in meet and greet, and half is basically naturally taking you into a demo and a test drive. So, to me, really, and also, I don't believe it's as important as the good first impression or a great demo, great test drive. So, why is demo important? Well, you demo allows you to let the car sell itself. Okay, you can be new salesperson. You can be the most awkward, introvert, shy guy or girl that's afraid to talk to customers. Maybe you've made a horrible first impression. You can fix all of that with a good demo, something that you structure right. If you use just basic psychology in a smart way, and get the customer just communicate with the car and get the customer sell himself and the car sell itself to the customer. So um, a lot of times when salespeople get from the first couple 2 3 months stage of being a green pea and they think they know everything, they start neglecting the demo. Sometimes customer walk in and says, I don't need to test drive, I just want to figure out, I want to see the numbers on this car, and then maybe I'll buy it. Yeah, it sounds great. It sounds like you just, you're already efficient and you're doing things faster, you can sell a car faster. It doesn't work this way. Okay, it's not going to help you sell the car faster. You cannot build the value. And I know, even to me, it sounds like a lot of a corporate speak, build the value and all that. But this is really a reality that I've seen time and time again, based on the experience. That if you can control the experience and if you give a great demo that you control, not somebody else's, it changes everything. And customers can tell you a lot of things. They can say, "Oh, I just drove it at another dealership." Okay, no problem. Was it the specific car? Was it the exact model with this suspension? Okay, no problem. But especially when it's a used car, just sir, all used cars sometimes they get treated differently. So I would feel much more comfortable if we can test drive this specific car that you're interested in buying. So let's just go on the showy test drive, shouldn't we? So that's one of them. Another, a lot of times they'll say, well, my cousin owns this three series. Once you start digging into it, the cousin doesn't own the same 3 series. The cousin's car is 6 years old, and this is a brand new car, and maybe the customer didn't even drive it. So a lot of times customers try to skip those steps, thinking it's going to help them and make things better. Again, take control of the experience. You, the professional, you know how these things should work, and in a professional, polite way, guide it, demand it, do whatever you have to do, but there has to be a demo. Now, in the last year, a year ago, because of the pandemic, our dealership, for example, were not allowed to go on test drives with customers, and it would send them on their own. No, no. Big no, no. Again, it's better than nothing, I guess. People still bought cars, but if you're not in the car with a customer, you cannot control the experience. They can get lost. You cannot control what they think about. And I'm not trying to be manipulative here. I don't want you to be manipulative, but you can guide the customer with your questions, with your answers, with the stages of the test drive, which one I'm going to go through. Sometimes it happens that maybe some of you have seen it. Somebody pulls into a dealership with a demo from a different dealership. They tell them, yeah, no problem. Take the car, go for an hour, come back. Where do they go? They go to another dealership to look at a different car. And they just park their car, and maybe they're already in the sales process with a better salesperson that's not going to let them go on their own. So again, your ideal situation is to test drive with the customer, hopefully the actual car they're interested in. Okay, and I understand it's difficult, and with a new car, maybe you have to drive the demo model and not, the actual cars in the warehouse. I understand all of that, but see this as your ultimate goal, and the closer you can get to that, the easier the closing will be, the more profit there will be, the happier the customer will be. Okay, it's just win, win, win. There's no way around it. And speaking of closing, good demo will eliminate the need for closing. Also, in a lot of sale processes and training talk about closing. There will be section on closing. They say this, you say this. They say that, you say this. If you did your demo right, you're not going to have to do anything. You're going to have to fight off the customer to slow him down, because they will be like, can I just drive this car home? I want to go somewhere. Like, how fast can I do the paperwork? Can you take my credit card so I can just go? That literally happens. Another thing specifically, when the customer can drive the car that they're interested in buying, considering buying, they're taking psychologically, they take an ownership of the car. You get into the car. Is Bluetooth important to you? Or maybe customer mentioned Bluetooth. Let's do this. Let's connect your phone to Bluetooth so you can hear how the sound system works. So now their phone is already connected. If somebody's calling them, it goes through the car. They can play their own music. The ownership, the fact of the psychological taking off the ownership, you just cannot overestimate it. It's just the sale is done at this point. Another reason, and also, not trying to manipulate, but there's this small little fact. People cannot multitask. We think we do, but we can't. And specifically, people cannot drive and lie at the same time. So if at the specific stage of the test drive, you start asking questions, when the customer is driving, they're occupied with driving, with the safety. There's a lot of sensory input. They're also thinking about something. They will not have a chance, or not have been thinking about that maybe they should not tell you something, or should tell you something that's not exactly true. If you ask a question like, are you considering trading your car? They will tell you. Even though a lot of people think, there's this myth, not tell the salesperson if they're trading a car, just going to forget about that. They will tell you exactly what's going on. Now, let's get to the, actual steps. And I'm not, I don't like telling you exact things, what you should say and how you should do. These are guidelines, okay? So let's just take this as basic guidelines, and in your experience at your dealership with your guidelines in your city, you're going to tailor the experience specifically to what works for you. But first stage is smooth transition from meet and greet to test drive. And first of all, you can just assume it's a test drive. Okay, they came in, you met them, you chat a little bit, you figure out a few things, which model that they're interested in. Now, okay, well, why don't we start with this model, then we'll drive another one. That's, for example, if they want to look at two different models. If not, well, let's go for a test drive. Can I have your driver license, insurance card, log them in, get everything? A lot of times people, again, they will figure out something to tell you to avoid test driving. And the reason could be a lot of times they're shy. They don't want to waste your time. Some people are just really nice. You think all customers, like, they're together. A lot of customers are just shy. They don't want to waste your time. They want to make it easy for you. So be open to them. Try to be helpful. Explain to them. Don't worry about it. Okay, this is important. I want to make sure this is the right car for you. We don't know if it's the right car. Maybe you're not going to like it. It's a possibility. So I explain to the customer that it's okay to test drive. It's recommended. It's good for them as a customer. All right. Sometimes, if the customer is really against test driving, like let's say I'm in San Francisco and some people just scared driving in the city with the traffic and everything, I still gonna try to get something. What I've done sometimes, I would just kind of like take control of the customer, come here, take a look at the trunk, take a look at the sticker, go over there, have a seat in the passenger seat, I go into driver's seat, and I just take off. Go around the block, go around the few blocks. I don't even ask them if they want to go. You cannot do this with a test drive because you need their driver license, insurance most likely, but I'm driving, they're the passenger. Now, at least I'm doing something. I'm moving the thing along. And hopefully by the end of this thing, they're like, yeah, can I drive? And, that's the goal. Okay, so you getting them to test drive, you got all the documents. Before you go, set the stage, frame what's going to happen. So first of all, you tell them what's going to happen. Quickly tell them, okay, first of all, we're going to drive in the city for a few blocks. First of all, I'm going to drive it out, show you a few things. If you have questions, we'll talk about that. Then you're going to drive. It's going to be first driving in the city. Then we'll go on the highway. Then we'll do a little bit, maybe, hills or something else. And then we'll get back, and it's going to take about 20 minutes. Sounds good? All right, let's go. So again, you set the stage, you prepare them, you there's this thing that especially in American style speech giving that when you give a speech, when you tell something, you tell them what you're going to tell them, then you tell them, then you tell them what you just told them. So same with the test drive. Before you go, tell them what's going to happen. Then that's going to happen, and then you're going to make like a final conclusion, closing to the whole experience. And when you're telling them what's going to happen, you can make and you should make a big fat claim. You should kind of like, again, you're going to program the customer. For example, especially if it's a performance or luxury car or a powerful car, let's say it's a V8 truck, something diesel truck, something, if there's something exciting about this car, use that and make a big fat claim, something like, okay, we're going to go on a test drive. I'm going to prepare you. Once we're done, you're going to fall in love with this car. Okay, I'm just warning you. Kind of like joke around, but do something like this. Or it could be, some kind of a, I don't know, Mini with no power, but if it's a convertible, then sell the fact that it's a convertible. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's beautiful weather outside. Set the stage, program the customer. All right. A good demo should be, in my opinion, 20 to 30 minutes. Shorter than that, sometimes it happens that customer comes, makes an appointment on a specific pre-owned car, let's say, and it sounds like they're already sold. And they tell them, yeah, that's the car I want. Maybe just take it around the block, make sure everything's okay. No, take a longer test drive because it's still not a done deal. And it's still, okay, customer, you kind of assume when they told you they want to buy the car, you don't know if they wanted to buy the car at the listing price, okay? They have some crazy negotiation expectations that at this point, they're not in love with the car, they're going to think that's the car they want, but it's going to be an uphill battle. If you resell them on this car, reclose them with a test drive, then it just makes things easier. So again, the test drive should be 20 to 30 minutes. The test drive should be broken down into, I would say, 3 stages. First of all, do not let the customer drive the car off the lot. Remember, same as the meet and greet. First of all, you want the customer to be comfortable with what's going on. At least in my lot, and most of the lots I've seen, dealership lots, parking lots, there will be some kind of like a demo or a back lot, and then you have to drive between rows of cars, and then you have to get out of the dealership, and it's confusing how you merge into traffic, and there are people, and let's say you prep the car in the lot, and customer gets in, law of Murphy's Law, whatever, right away there's going to be some kind of a service tech in the car behind you honking, so, go, let's go. There's traffic behind you. It stresses the customer. You don't want the customer stressed. You want them comfortable, then you want them excited and sold in the car. Stress, they feel stressed, then translate the stress to you, transform it to you, transform it to the car. And then they associate the car and you and the whole situation with stress. It's not going to help you. It's just going to worsen your chances to sell the car. So because of that, what I would do, always drive the car first. Customer sits in the back or in the passenger seat. You drive the car out of the dealership. And what I would also do, I would drive at least 1 block around or just a couple of blocks. The purpose, just show the customer, okay, right now we're in comfort mode. Let me show you what happens in sport mode. And I work mostly with luxury performance models. I also want to prep the customer and to show them what is okay on the test drive, just by my example. So I will be a little bit more aggressive in driving, but I'm not going to be crazy. And the message that I'm sending the customer that's what's okay for you to do. If I do this, you can do that. And what's going to happen, they can be more aggressive. They get more excited. But on the other hand, they're not going to go crazy, not going to wreck the car or get a ticket. So first of all, you drive the car out, find a spot that's really quiet that you can legally park, that's nobody gonna honk behind. Ideally, if you can find a spot in front of like a retail space with big windows, like a mirrored windows, and when the customer can kind of see himself or herself in front of the car, that's next level. That's really going to help you. but just a nice quiet space when you can pull in, you can switch drivers. They sit down, they adjust the mirrors, the seat, turn on whatever they need. Now they're comfortable, now they're gonna drive. Small point, if you have a couple that's test driving and you don't want to have more than a couple, and you can just pull rank and tell them it's a dealership policy, you going with either one person or two people. If there are more people, they're going to figure it out somehow. Well, maybe there's a child can sit in the back, that's okay. But if you get like a huge family and four people want to go in the car and you're going to be squeezed somewhere there, it's not good. Just pull your rank, stop it, one or two people. But if you have two people, especially if there's a couple, you drive the car out, you sit in the back. Husband or wife drives, husband or wife sits in the passenger seat. What happens? They're taking ownership. They forget that you're even there. They're driving around, you're giving directions, and then you just sit quiet and they're taking ownership. It's their car. Okay, at this point, mentally, it's already their car. So they sat in, you drive out, music is not playing. The first stage is for the customer to get comfortable, to get used to the car. If possible, it should be city driving. Just a few blocks, stop signs, lights, maybe a couple of lane changes, get them used to the car. You don't ask a lot of questions. You answer their questions short if they have, but most likely they're not going to have any questions because right now they're thinking. Their brain is working. Okay, what do I feel? How's this feel to me? How's this working? Is the steering okay? Bunch of questions in their head. They're selling themselves on the car because remember they came for a reason. They want to get the Soros. They want to buy the car. Let them sell themselves on the car. All right, so once that is done, and don't be afraid of silence. Sometimes people are just uncomfortable, low confidence level. They think that they have to speak, they have to talk and tell stories, and oh, this button does this and this does that and this is that, and this car has 315 horsepower but only 259 pounds of torque. Not a good idea. It's okay to be quiet. It's okay to be fully silent for 10 minutes while the customer is driving through the city. Next stage is the exciting part. This relates, again, there's a little bit of NLP, a little bit of neuro-linguistic programming and basic psychology. I don't know if you know anything about, there's like not science, but kind of like dating advice. When people say, if you want to get into a relationship, how you should behave, what your date should be. Think about this as a date. Okay, you want it to be exciting because if the customer is excited, they get a state change. They're going to associate the state change with you, with the car, and the dealership, and they're going to like the whole thing much better. And if they like everything, they're much more likely to buy. They're much more likely to pay what you tell them to pay. So it's got to be exciting. Also, we're talking about they drove in the city. Now we hopefully get on the highway or freeway. Same as with dating. You want to have a few different places. So with a date, you go for dinner, then you go for a show, then you go for a walk. Those are three different things. And in your partner's, your date's mind, you've already been together for a long time. You already have shared experience. Same with the customer. They drove the car in the city. They drove it on the hills. They drove it on the highway. They got excited. They got comfortable. This is it. They have history with this car. So what I do, I drove in the city. Now it's the exciting part. And I prep them. I program the customer. Okay, this is what's going to happen. We're going to get on the freeway. I'm going to put it in sport mode. You're going to have about 2 miles on the freeway. I kind of give them, depending on how comfortable am I can tell them, it's okay to go fast, just don't go over. You don't want to do anything illegal. So some level of control, but create excitement, create anticipation that if it could be the slowest car that we have on the lot, okay? But if I build enough excitement, then they just, to them, even with its whatever, 120 horsepower Jetta, but in this situation, they push it on the peeler on the freeway, they're going to feel different about this car. Okay, so make that excited. If it's possible, if there's any curvy turns, encourage, like I would encourage, turn this car Obviously tailored to your experience. I get kind of like excited about my own brand and performance cars because it's easier to get excited about that. Obviously, if it's a minivan with horrible suspension, you don't want them to make tight turns. So think about something else. But try to get a few things that's going to excite them. What could excite them other than the freeway and fast driving? Up the hill, down the hill, tight turns, things like that. Um, Again, I'm in San Francisco. What I do, my test drive is tailored so that it goes through a neighborhood with beautiful views of the city and the bay, and there's the Bay Bridge. And I use this, especially when it's somebody that's from out of town. I ask them, hey, you guys come to San Francisco often? No? Oh, we're going to have so much fun. I'll show you beautiful places. So what am I doing? They're excited about the city. They're like on a tour. What does it have to do with car selling? They're excited. They're happy. They transmit this feeling to the car, which helps you. So, second stage, you got them excited, you got their heart pumping. It should have been quiet first, but at this stage, maybe turn on the radio, some dance music, some energetic music, a little bit, not too loud, so you can talk. But like in a movie, you're watching a movie, there's a car chase, there's going to be exciting music. It's not going to be quiet. Next stage is the last stage, and the last stage is they're excited. You can assume at this point they already love the car, okay? And at this point, this is the point when you can have the conversation. You can tell them something, you can ask them questions, and you can ask and let's talk about what kind of questions you're gonna ask. So you control what they focus. My favorite questions for test drives are tag question. Tag question is something that ends with a proposition that the customer has to answer yes or just nod their head. So we peeling off on a freeway. That felt great, didn't it? Yeah. The car is pretty quiet, isn't it? Yeah, it is quiet. Uh, the car took the turn really well, didn't it? So what you're doing, you get the customer to think about this because the car could be the fastest car, but they're thinking about something else, about their home problems. But now if I told them that 500 horsepower felt great, didn't it? They're like, okay, 500 horsepower. Did I feel it? I felt it. It felt great. Okay, check mark. Moving on. So it makes sense, doesn't it? So I'm doing this to you, don't I? Okay, tag questions. You can start asking test closing questions, like an opinion asking questions. Like I was saying about the trade. The car you drove in, that Mercedes. Are you thinking of trading this car? Okay. And will this be your first BMW? Okay. And in your opinion, is this configuration of the car you drive in, is this something like you would want your car to be? These are test closing questions. They move in the customer closer to the sale. They help you flush out objections and to figure out things that you can use later. Flashing out objections, again, good spot to get the problems that might come up later. So, if asked, if this car works for you, this is the car you might think about taking home today. Oh, well, yeah, no, the car is great, but I don't have the money in my bank. Okay, no problem. We can work with that. Or I'm going to need my husband or wife to look at the car, or bring my cousin or something. Okay, but there's some objection that could be valid or not, but you flush it out now. Later, when it comes, you can bring this objection up. I know you told me that you have the money in the bank. I have great news for you. Our financing is awesome. This car gets 0% financing. Not a problem. You can pay it off soon. Okay, so flash it out early so you're not fighting the objection. So you can use it later, but differently. What else? So when you actually have to, this kind of relates in general to walk around, if you still do walk around, and the test drive. When you ask questions during the meet and greet and walk around, you should know what's important to that customer. So, for example, what's important could be safety and turning radius, okay? Or it could be acceleration and braking. So get a couple of things that you got to feel that are important for the customer in this car. This is what you demo. This is what you demonstrate. If they ask about, okay, does this car have Bluetooth and a camera? Okay, so first you answer, but then remember that that's what they asked about. Make sure you connect their car to their phone to Bluetooth in the car, and make sure you show them how the camera works. So you definitely don't want to show them everything in the car because they don't care about everything in the car. A lot of people care about one thing. It could be, for example, with BMW, there's this M Sport package, and M Sport package comes with a special steering wheel. There are some customers that will buy because of the steering wheel. This is all you have to demo to them. They're like, yeah, well, you have this 3 Series with M Sport package. Look at the steering wheel. Okay, we're gonna drive it, see how it feels. Feels great, doesn't it? Looks good, doesn't it? This leather is different in the stitching. You like it, don't you? That's it. That's all that it's gonna take. So again, demo is extremely important. It let the car work for you. This is what could make your job easy, not just simple, but easy because you're selling something that they can touch, they can try, they can feel, compared to like working in finance department when you have to sell a piece of paper. Very different. Not that that's difficult, but just think about that. You have to use what you have to make your job easier. And you think it takes time, it will make your negotiation and the rest of the process much shorter. So it's going to save you time. All right. Uh, Once you're done test driving, we will talk. Next important stage is how to move from the demo to the desk, move from the test drive to numbers. But again, if you did your job right, if you had a great, exciting, exceptional test drive, customers can ask you like, where can I sign? They're gonna start asking. They're gonna start closing questions. They're gonna start asking, what's the APR you have on this car? Do you have this one in a different color? These are closing questions from the customer. These are buying questions that you just make a note. Okay, you don't have to scramble and think that this is something that's going to hurt your sale. These are buying questions. If somebody's in the end of the test drive, you ask them, yeah, so it was pretty good, right? This car works pretty good for you, right? It feels like you like it. Yeah, yeah, it's really good. It's fine. Do you have this car in green? So what does it mean? Well, it could mean nothing. You can just ignore it. You can say, I don't know, we'll check. You can say one of my favorite prices. We can accommodate that. And then just leave it alone. Maybe it's not going to come up. If you have this car in green, great. If you don't, if they love the car, they will buy it. They will buy whatever you have. Okay, so don't worry about that. These are buying questions. Just move on, and we'll talk about moving to numbers later.